guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Amy. I do food and fitness content on this channel and also over on TikTok and Instagram. If you want further content, then the links are down below. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all having lovely weeks. In this video, I'm going to talk about something that has become very close and personal to me in the last few weeks, and that is intuitive eating. And I'm mainly going to speak about how to start intuitive eating. Because to be honest, when I started this journey, I personally felt very lost, and I really want to help you girlies get to a place where you can also intuitively eat, because it has really just changed my life and my mental health over these last few weeks. So this is going to be a short but sweet video on how to start intuitive eating. So let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is delete those apps. Delete your MyFitnessPal, delete anything that you've been using to track your calories for however long you've been doing it. And honestly, yes, this can be quite scary, and you may think, but how am I going to know how much to eat? Honestly, you will not regret deleting those apps. It can be very addicting counting calories, and I feel like as soon as you delete the app and just start going off of what your body is telling you to eat, it becomes a lot easier. Losing that initial control can actually be very difficult and can lead to increased behaviors such as checking on the scales, either in the mirror. I've been through this myself, and I know it can be really difficult, but honestly, you will not notice a difference unless you start now and you start doing this. My personal story, I've been tracking calories for probably around 8 years. It has been a while. Ever since I started my fitness journey, I started tracking calories. That is a really long time to be tracking every single meal of every single day. It had a mental toll on me, and I wasn't enjoying food. I wasn't enjoying my recipes. I decided I'm going to let go of all of the restrictions. I'm going to delete the app, and I'm going to go off what my body's telling me and my hunger cues. Things that can make this an easier transition is perhaps making meals that you're usually familiar with, that you usually track and you know that are healthy. The next tip that I have for you guys is to learn your hunger cues, which sounds so freaking obvious, but I didn't know my hunger cues when I stopped tracking. I relied solely on my app, on the time of day, to know when I needed to eat. So as soon as I stopped tracking, I realized, actually, I'm not hungry at 12:30. It can be really difficult to differentiate between an emotional cue and a hunger cue. So essentially a hunger cue is something physical that your body is trying to tell you you need to eat food. This can obviously be the feeling of hunger, but it can be other things such as feeling faint, feeling weak, feeling dizzy. Emotional cues, on the other hand, are essentially like cravings or thoughts in our minds of wanting something very in particular. So this is typically an item, for example, chocolate. So the way that I differentiated between a hunger cue and an emotional cue in my journey in the beginning was to say to myself, if I go into the kitchen now, do I want to eat anything in the kitchen, or do I want to eat a specific thing? And if it was a specific thing, that usually indicated an emotional cue, which I'll talk about how you can control that later on in the video, because that's also really important. And I would only typically try to eat a big meal when it was a hunger cue. If it was an emotional cue, I tended to have a smaller snack instead. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is a whole foods diet. This is probably one of the most important things you need to be thinking about when you go onto an intuitive eating journey. We have a massive issue in our society at the moment with ultra processed foods and people eating most of their diet with ultra processed foods. A whole food diet is the complete opposite of this. So essentially what a whole food diet is making sure that we are eating unprocessed, naturally sourced, no artificial containing foods. That is probably not going to be enough on your plate. So I try to go by an 80-20 rule, especially as a vegan, and I like to try to have 20% processed foods, because I feel like life is just a balance and you don't need to be extra strict with this whole foods diet. It's just more about incorporating a variety of fruits, veggies, fiber containing foods, seeds, nuts, lentils, and by doing that, you're going to actually help your hunger levels, because fiber is super important for your digestive health and reducing your hunger cues. Fiber actually in the gut will absorb any extra food that we don't need to eat, and it will come out. And obviously, please don't take this too far. Sweet treats are inevitable, and we all have cravings. We all love certain foods, so it's about honoring those cravings but trying to fuel your body effectively. Okay, so you've started intuitive eating, you're really happy with your choice, you want to be mindful with your food, but you don't really know how much food you need to eat because you've been tracking calories your whole life. Totally understand it. I was absolutely there. So it is super difficult to start intuitive eating in the beginning and know when you need to stop eating. For me personally, I initially downloaded an app which I shared on here called Eating Buddy, and I was initially eating till satisfaction, so when my hunger stopped. However, I would say this led me to be hungry earlier on after the meal. So I decided, until I'm in this good relationship with food, that I was going to actually eat until my hunger was gone and I was full. And by doing that, that was going to satisfy me for longer. So I would definitely recommend, if you're first starting intuitive eating, to eat until you are full rather than satisfied. I do understand where this idea of eating to a level of satisfaction has come from, because I do really think it's something you should be aiming to. However, for me personally, in this moment, it's not good for my relationship with food, therefore I eat until I'm full. Okay, so the next one is to be mindful. So this can be quite difficult because you want to lose all of the restrictions, but also if you do actually have a physical goal in mind, for example, you just want to lose a little bit of weight, which you can do with intuitive eating, then that can be quite difficult in the beginning, because obviously you're balancing between your health and having less restrictions. So I personally am on a slight weight loss journey. I wouldn't say I'm in a rush to get there, but I want to lose a little bit of weight and get to a more toned physique. So in order to do that, I'm making more mindful choices about the foods I'm eating. So for example, if I'm craving something that's been fried, I'll use a fry spray instead of some olive oil, and just little choices like that, which all add up. For me personally, I still weigh myself every day, and I'm trying to be mindful of not letting this take over my intuitive eating journey. But I think it's really important to keep monitoring my weight during this journey, because essentially I've made this massive transition within a couple of months. I need to know where the balance is for my weight personally. So I know that if my weight is slightly going up on the scales, I don't stress about it. I just know that maybe I need to be more mindful that week of the things that I'm putting on the plate, the quantity of things that I'm eating, and also, am I actually eating when I'm hungry, or am I losing a little bit of control? I would also highly recommend taking progress pictures. I obviously wouldn't recommend weighing yourself if it really does cause you distress and really affects your mental health, because your mental health is always more important than any physical goal. So obviously if that is you and you don't want to weigh yourself, then progress pictures are going to be your best buddy here, and you should be taking them at least once a week just to see how your body is adapting to your new diet. Okay, so the next one is actually really important, and I feel like I didn't even know that this was kind of a thing, and that is eating mindfully. So when you're eating your meals, it's fine to have something in the background or be watching something, but just make sure that you're actually chewing really slowly, you're tasting the food, you're enjoying the food, and don't rush your meals, because when you start rushing your meals, it kind of sets your brain off into a frenzy of this reward system with food. The longer you chew your meals and enjoy them, the better it is for your digestive tract and also for your cravings, essentially. So obviously, as you guys know, I'm a gym girly. I love exercise, and it has been the real backbone for me throughout this journey, because exercise is so important for moderating your mood, your digestive health, obviously your brain and your muscles and your bones. So it's super important to keep exercising and keep active during this time, because obviously you're fueling your body correctly now, so your performance is just going to skyrocket after starting this kind of journey. You may find, like I did, that your workouts are going to be improving a lot more now because you're actually fueling your body. The other things I like to do, which kind of help my relationship with food, include meditating. So every evening I will try to meditate or do some sort of meditating activity like yoga or stretching, and I particularly like to do deep belly breathing, which basically activates your rest and digest system, which is the opposite of your flight and fight response. So by deep belly breathing, you're going to activate that relaxation in your body. So if you breathe in, you're breathing in and you're causing your stomach to rise rather than your chest, and then you're breathing out slowly. And also going for a walk every day, just to be surrounded by nature and have some time for you is really important. Okay, so I promised you that I was going to talk about how to fuel your cravings, and I'm not going to lie, when you start this journey, you may be having cravings here, there and everywhere, and it is really difficult to control them and try to suppress them, but it can be done, okay? It takes a couple of weeks for your body to adjust to the amount of fibre that you're eating now, hopefully, and having free reign of food, so give it some time. If you do go a bit out of control for the first 2 weeks, it's okay, it's not a setback, it's just you having some food freedom that you've basically been missing your whole life. So I feel like it's super important to talk about these things. My cravings were very much out of control in the beginning. I basically craved sweet stuff every single night, chocolate every night, cookies, cakes, anything like that. Now that I've been doing this for over a month, I don't have those cravings as often. I definitely have them probably once or twice a week, but I don't have them every day and every night. In the first 2 weeks, if you do have these cravings that you feel like are coming out of control, what you should do is essentially take a small bit of that craving, so for example, a small bit of your chocolate bar, and then I want you to put a nice whole foods bowl around it. So for example, what I would do is put some yogurt in the bowl, I'd add some protein powder to the yogurt, I'd add my chocolate, I'd add some nut butter, and then some. That is going to be a lot more satisfying than just having the chocolate on its own. And therefore it's going to stop you from wanting to go back into that cupboard and grab the chocolate bar and eat the rest. So this has been a really quick video for you guys, but I just wanted to share my tips and advice basically on this topic, because I feel like more and more people are wanting to choose an intuitive eating journey, which I think is amazing, and I think it's not as easy as people think it is. So it's really important for me to share everything I know and everything that I've been through, so that you guys basically don't have to have the same downfalls that I've had. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe down below. It really helps with the channel, and I really appreciate it if you do have the time. I'll see you next week for another video. See you later.